Well, welcome to the Wednesday webinar. My name's Brent Stone, and I've got a special guest here with me today, Corey Dissin. Corey, thank you for joining with me today. This is going to be so much fun.
Let's go. Can't wait. Thank you for having me, Brent. You're the man. Let's do it.
Hey, I've gotten a chance, just for everyone that's watching this, I've gotten a chance to look at a lot of Corey's material that he's done up to this point, and we've already recorded one show together for another platform, and we're just getting to know each other really well. Corey has not only been a digester of a lot of the stuff that he teaches himself, but he's in the coaching space doing a lot of really incredible things. He has his own book. He has tons of experience in the corporate arena, in advertising, actually, which is really funny, which I don't even know if I even mentioned this to you, Corey, but I have a background in advertising for almost a decade too, outside of all the other things that I mentioned to you. And so I wrote ad campaigns and marketing strategy for some of for some very well known household names, all the way down to solopreneurs, which is really, really, really cool. But I'm excited to hear from you. So how would you want to just kind of open things up? Because I want to talk about interesting investments, and I think you have probably one of the most interesting places to invest in, which is your mind.
Well, yeah, your mind and your body. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, first I'll say, it's kismet that we're here today because we're probably related somehow, even though you got a much better hairdo than I do. But,
I don't know. You got an awesome brand going on. I don't know if I can match that.
Well, I mean, look, thank God my head isn't shaped like an egg, a pumpkin, but maybe not an egg. But so I'm thankful to be here with you and to help share some of the go get it gospel, I like to call it, and to learn how to put yourself first and invest in yourself. And, obviously we can plug the book. I mean, a quick show there, Going the Distance.
Yes.
10 rounds to a championship life and career. I like to share that with as many people as possible because it's not your everyday boring, dry self-help book.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty quick read. I mean, literally 2 hours, you're in and out, which is right my speed. I didn't want to give anybody War and Peace or anything. We're not writing a book report on this. I wanted to give you quick hits. It's formatted very much like a boxing match because boxing is an ongoing metaphor throughout the entire book. Boxing and on the entrepreneurial, and life is a fight.
Yeah.
And you got to learn how to defend yourself. When you get punches thrown at you, you have to learn to be aggressive and hit the other person. And you have to be prepared. You have to be mentally tough. So I formatted this book and paid homage to 10 people that I bumped into in my life that taught me 10 very valuable lessons that I've sort of stacked and attacked throughout my life. And I wanted to figure out a way to share it with the world. So I created this cool little package, and hopefully somebody will get something out of it.
Oh, I have no doubt. And apparently so many people have, because your book's live on Amazon, and that's just, I mean, obviously people to go there like crazy and digest books and everything else. You have it on Audible?
Not yet, because nobody else can record it but me, because the whole thing is my voice. And
that's awesome.
Look, in all honesty, I've just been kind of too crazed with things to really sit down and record it. I probably wouldn't even need to read it. I just could start. When you edit a book so many times, you kind of know it by heart. But there's definitely some, I'll call them characters in there, people that you meet that get quoted that I would want to do justice for. But yeah, it's in the pipeline. Let's just say that. And you're not the first person to say, hey, Corey, you need to do an audiobook for that. I'm like, wow, it makes a lot of sense. I work with a lot of voice talent and production companies in my life. I should have done that out of the gates, but I was so excited.
No, not at all.
To the world.
I just wanted to ask, and you know what? That gives us something to promote too. Whenever that comes available, we'll have to come back on here again and just tell the world about it so they can go on and get that.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. So let's do this real quick. So I'm a real big believer in making sure people can get an ROI for their life. And so part of the reason why we're doing Wednesday webinar is for these interesting investments. What have you seen over the course of your life with investing in yourself, whether it be fitness or mentally, emotionally, all these things? Like what do you see for people that you've coached yourself? I mean, let's do the gambit.
Well, the first thing is you have to be willing to take your hands off the wheel and kind of submit to whoever that other expert is. That's a very
Yeah.
tough decision to make for a lot of people because you kind of have to let your guard down a little bit, number one.
And
Uh,
that's when you're making the investment in with a coach,
yeah,
is what
the
you're talking
money
about. Yeah. Yeah.
investment, time
Yeah.
investment,
Yeah.
homework involved, all et cetera. And the other thing is you got to make a smart investment because there are a lot of people out there requesting your investment that maybe in the race of life they've run a few laps, but they've never won a marathon.
Mm.
You want to make sure you align with someone that has done the thing that you
Yeah.
want to do. You wouldn't hire, and look, you wouldn't hire an overweight personal trainer.
Nope.
You wouldn't hire a track coach that's a smoker.
That's right.
You need to get someone that has done the thing, and there's so many opportunities for you not to do the thing because it might be a little cheaper, or maybe that person has some really bloated social media presence and you just want to be able to say, oh, I get to hang out with this guy or whoever. You got to be smart. And, when I made an investment in myself with my nutrition plan, with my exercise plan, and with building a business plan, I went with someone at the highest level. I worked with a guy named Dana Cavalier, who was the strength and conditioning coach for a little team called the New York Yankees for a dozen years. So we worked with some of the premier athletes in the world,
Yeah.
guiding them, preparing them for battle over a 162 game season, which is no easy feat. And I'm a baseball nerd too. My son is a professional baseball player. So there was a lot of parallels why this guy was a perfect fit for me. And,
Yeah.
not for nothing, we're very mentally aligned too. Like we can have a conversation as buddies. Like we think, we're wired the same way. So it was very important that I found someone that I could vibe with and that someone was at the highest level because, I was an athlete for a long time. I owned a gym for 5 years. I was training other people. I didn't just want to get some meathead. I wanted to get someone that, worked with the best. And I paid a premium rate for that privilege. And thank goodness I did because, yes, I got in shape. I got my diet in order. I got my business off the ground. But also, he helped to reinforce some of the fundamental principles that carried me up to that point. So
Yeah.
it was a good investment.
Oh man, that's so good. And so here's the thing. You probably had no buyer's remorse for probably two reasons. One, the dude carried the credibility with him that he was a world-class trainer. And then two, you put forth the effort that was equal to the investment.
Had to. I mean, because I had to be accountable. I mean,
Yeah.
he held me accountable. We checked
And,
in all
and
the
and
time, and that's the way
people
it
like
is.
you, people like him. Like if you don't, if like let's say someone comes and hires you and they don't do what the homework you give them, you'll probably fire them because it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, I mean, I don't know your policy. I'm not trying to write that for you, but it's just one of those things. Like it has to be worth your time too. You don't want to coach people that can't put in the work to actually get the results that they're paying you to help them achieve. I mean,
Well, it's safe to say I've had some spirited discussions with a few clients, because they weren't pulling their weight. Some of those, I call them sort of come to Jesus moments. It's like, hey,
yeah,
this is the splash of cold water. Are you in it to win it? Some folks bounce back really well and they go, okay, I'm on it, Core. We're going to do this, this, this. And then, we're tracking their progress. Other folks will fold and then Corey's mean and he's tough to deal with and all this nonsense. And then, they fulfill their contractual obligation and then they move on and we hopefully part as friends. I don't have a perfect batting average. I'm the first one to tell you that. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs over the years. I don't bat 1,000. Not everybody vibes with me because look, they see they see me, throwing up all the plates in the gym and they see the brand and the go get it and all these people saying nice things about me. But when the honeymoon's over and they see that they got some work to do, it is a transitional moment for those people. They have
sure.
to decide, okay, am I going to really put in the work? Look, I'm no celebrity, but certain people like to say, oh, I work with Corey.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you work with me or not? Or you just
Yeah.
associate with me? And that's the lesson for anybody. Don't just associate. I never got these people that will drop a few grand on a product or service and it kind of sits on the shelf for a couple days. I'm like, are you kidding me? When I buy a new computer, when that UPS and that cardboard box hits the pavement, I'm picking it up, wiring it, putting it together, and putting it to use because I know I just dropped a lot of coin, and I want to get every drop of juice out of that thing, from day one. I just never understood people that are like, oh, I just paid you $3,000, Corey, but can we punt our first session for a couple weeks? Well, okay, if you're independently wealthy and you have that time to burn, God bless. But it's like, come on, man, let's go get it. I keep telling people, just go get it. Quit, flapping your gums and let's go.
Yeah. So back kind of what I want to do here is, you've got so much experience. You've told me about some of your corporate experience. You've told me about just, how you run your business now. How do you look at personal investment? Like, let's talk about like the mental investment, because I think that there's so much here, and I've got so many good things planned for even future stuff for us. But what I was going to say is that, how do you look at that for people? Like, do you have an idea that you can pitch to people, not like in a sales pitch kind of way, but pitch in a way to where it's like people should, if they're not investing in themselves already, what should they be doing? Because, you coach. So it's like, what people should be doing and you're talking to professionals that maybe they might not know that they need a coach, but everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs someone to be accountable to so they don't walk really far off the path. That's my belief. I told you a little bit about some of my background, and you kind of know why I really believe that. And there's a lot there to unpack. But do you have some type of I don't want to call it cookie cutter, because I don't think you treat anyone cookie cutter. You probably look at their scenario, but do you have something standard that you can tell people by, like that's like an algorithm that, hey, you know what, if you are at this stage in life, if you're in this profession, if you have this income level, you need coaching for these reasons. Is that fair to ask?
I will try to attack that. I know there's a lot of tentacles on what you just said, and if I miss anything,
just pick one of the tentacles and answer that.
You'll let me know. I mean, the first thing I would say is that Muhammad Ali had a coach. Okay. And he was heavyweight champion of the world. Derek Jeter had a coach. And he's in the Hall of Fame. Kobe Bryant, one of the hardest working guys in professional basketball, had a coach.
Yeah.
Someone to push him, to act as a mirror, to say, hey, here's that little adjustment, that little fine tune that's going to take you from really good to great. There's a big difference. Most people want to be good enough. I don't want to be good enough. I want to just leave people in the dust, and I want to teach people how to do that, but they make it very complicated. And I try to simplify it and boil it down to a very simple philosophy. Is you need to get really good at doing simple, boring, unsexy things ridiculously well for a sustained period of time, because most folks get pulled through their day like a leaf in the wind. They wake up, and it's very much a reactive process. What comes in front of them, they react. And those are the people that say, oh, something just fell in my lap, I can't make that meeting. Or, oh, that call ran too long, I have to punt our appointment. Those are the people, they're not winners. They're wannabes. What I tell people is make the smartest investment you will ever make in yourself. You ready? And it costs about 10 cents. You want to know what that is?
I'd love to.
It's one of these guys right here.
A pen.
A pen.
Bum, bum, bum.
The power of the pen. Document with discipline. See what I did there?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Here's a cool thing about this little instrument. Number one, you don't have to plug it in. Doesn't need batteries. Okay. Number two, when you remove the top of this thing and you turn it over and you press it against a piece of paper, you are signing a contract with yourself to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I got my list right here. And I'm doing just fine. I don't need that list. My day runs on autopilot. I know how my day is going to go a week before it happens. But the reason why I know is because I took the time to write things down and have a game plan. And here are the things that are non-negotiable that I will get done every day. And those could be simple things like make the bed or fold the laundry or take the trash out. But if you can't do simple things really well, how do you expect to do the big things really well? Most people, that's a huge gap in their brain. They're like, I see the summit of the mountain. I want to get to the summit of the mountain. And they keep staring at the mountain and wondering why they're not getting closer. You got to look at your feet and move one in front of the other. Then you get to the top of the mountain. Simple. Building a foundation. We talked about, you don't build the roof of a house first. It's all tied in. I don't claim to be some guru. I don't have a crazy education. I don't have a law degree or an MBA. I got 30 years of doing it. Not talking about it, doing it. Making the mistakes, stepping and avoiding landmines I'm trying to teach you to miss. And what I found is if you can document with discipline, trust the power of the pen, do simple things ridiculously well for a sustained period of time, you can do anything. Anything. You can become a bodybuilding champion. You can lose 50 pounds. You can build a 7-figure business. You can have material wealth, whatever it is. If you don't have a plan to get there, how are you going to get there? The marketing fairy isn't going to show up and the ideas under your pillow.
Really?
I just talked to a client of mine this morning, and he had told me that he was in a setting where there was a lot of buzz among his peers in his industry, and they were complaining that the people they're reaching out to were objecting to them reaching out in different ways, which is nothing new. But the point I'm making is they started to say, oh, man, I might just stop direct marketing. And I was like, what? You're going to stop direct marketing? Are you kidding? Just because you didn't get your way? How entitled are you? What do you expect? Nothing in your life, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody hopefully consuming this, no one is meeting you halfway. You got to do the work, man. You got to do the work in anything. Do the boring stuff, the stuff that no one else is willing to do. Those are the people that you look up to on social media and on television or whatever else. They got in the mud, Andy Dufresne crawled through 500 yards of foul-smelling sewage to get out of prison and leave Shawshank. Most people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
I did that in some degree in my life where I had to do some unpleasant things to stick it out to make it to the next level. That's what it boils down to. Like I said, I'm a dumb guy, but I'm a hardworking guy.
Yeah.
If you can be as dumb as me, you'll be in pretty good shape.
I like that a lot. Part of my story, I was actually shipped around to tell my success story in my first career based upon not having a college education and working really hard and having a certain level of prestigious achievement by 18, 19 years old. And I wasn't a high school push out, but I could have been. I mean, it was just, if I applied myself more, I could, turbocharged ADHD. I just didn't, I didn't care. I didn't have anyone sit me down and get my attention and explain to me why I should care, which is fine because I ended up being an entrepreneur and that's done fine.
You're self-made man.
Well, I mean, thank you, Jesus. But there's been a lot of grace on my life for that. But there's been a lot of hard work. It's definitely a co-laboring experience. You know what I mean? It's just one of these things where
I lived it with you.
I know.
It with you. And I bumped into people in my life that demanded that of me, from my parents to coaches to teachers to former employers. These are the people that I talk about in the book, and in their own way, they said, Corey, this is how you have to do X, Y, Z. And, one of the things my old man taught me, God bless, he's still around at 82 years old. He said, when most people talk, and I hope this is not happening today, and I don't mean you, I mean the people who are watching and listening.
Sure.
When most people talk to people, they hear them, but they don't listen. And he told me from when I was in diapers, when I talk to you, son, don't just hear me, you better listen. And that stuck with me. But here we are today. I'm sitting here talking about it, and my kids know it. My wife knows it. She'll probably, chew me out in a funny way at the dinner table for bringing it up today because she's just on the other side of this room here. But it's a big thing. I mean, it all goes back to investing in yourself. If you're not putting forth the requisite effort, if you're making that money investment, that time investment, and you're not listening to the person actually cares about your future success and implementing what they recommend because you think you know better, well, shame on you. Shame on
Yeah.
you. You know, these people, they don't have to care that much, but most purveyors of coaching service want you to do well, and they're trying to share with you their knowledge and experience, but you got to be willing to do the work.
That's right. That's so good. I think my biggest takeaway from this is when you took the pen and you were like, you know what? You take the cap off and all of a sudden you start putting that to paper and now you've got a contract with yourself. That's so profound. That's so good. And I hope people watching this can take that away and just be like, hey, look, make the investment in yourself, get a coach, contact Corey. And you know what? If you want to learn more about him before you reach out to him, buy his book, for crying out loud. It's on Amazon right now. Get his book.
Insert shameless plug here.
Yeah. And get to know him because he talks about some really key valuable tips in his book on just building that foundational building life foundation in his book. And so that's where we'll kind of cut things here for today's Wednesday webinar. But I know that Corey and I have talked, we're going to do some future things together. So stay tuned for that. And man, I'm the fortunate one. Corey's amazing, and you need to go if you're following me, go like and follow his stuff. It is amazing. You will not be disappointed. Do you see what I did there?
Hey, my man, let's go. The branding champion, Brent Stone, ladies and gentlemen.
And it'll be really good. So, hey, with that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Corey, thank you for taking your time to be here with me.
You're welcome.
And until next time, we'll keep having fun on these Wednesday webinars, and Corey will be back again at a later date.